This is our Easter services,
Yes.
our resurrection services, our Feast of First Fruits. Sharon brought out something just absolutely wonderful at the end of our last class that I want to share with you. Also, as we read this, we're going to go read 14:1 through, I think it is 9. 1 through 9. We're going to go from verse 2 or 3 on there. Now, the priest, we know, knew what they were doing. They were going to kill an innocent man, weren't they? They were going to kill an innocent man. Did they want to kill the innocent man?
Yes.
Absolutely. They absolutely kept on trying to kill this innocent man. But as Sharon brought out at the end of the last class, she said, you know, something just dawned on me. She says, the priests were used to killing the innocent. Every lamb that was ever had its throat cut there near the altar was innocent. The priests were used to killing innocent sacrifices. And now they were going to sacrifice Jesus to get control, keep their power, so they would not have to give it to the King of Glory. And here we read it again, as we read and look at that. They were used to killing the innocent, and they were willing to kill an innocent man. They killed innocent animals, now they're going to kill the innocent, truly the sacrifice of God. The hilasmos, the kafar, the hilasterion, the atonement, our atonement. It was now 2 days before the Passover and the festival of unleavened bread, and the chief priests and the scribes kept on seeking and kept on searching for a deceitful way to arrest and murder Jesus. They were going to commit murder, they were going to commit perjury, and they were going to plan and they were going to murder an innocent man. You know that the one of the great priests, Gamaliel, that year, he says, he got up and and one of the chief priests says, isn't it necessary for the innocent, for the sacrifice of one man for all? Yes. I imagine he started spitting after that, but he did it. He said it. God came upon him and he prophesied truth. But they were saying, not during the festival, for the people might riot. And now the very next verse. Now we have love. Love. In the next, we have an absolute expression of love. While he was in Bethany as a guest at the home of Simon the leper, and of course we said before that Simon the leper was a leper. Jesus healed him and healed his house. And they had to give him a certificate of health before anybody could go in there, or he could have any guests come to his home, in the house or near him. And he was healed by the Messiah. He healed the leper. In the home of Simon the leper, and laying up at table, a woman came with an alabaster vial of very costly and precious perfume and pure nard. And she broke the vial and poured perfume over his head. And there were some who were indignantly remarking one to another, why has this perfume been wasted? Well, this perfume might have been sold for more than 300 days' wages. Well, actually it was a year, basically. Nearly a year's wages. A laborer's wages for almost a year, and the money given to the poor, and they scolded her. But Jesus said, let her alone. Why are you bothering her and causing trouble? She has done a good deed and a beautiful thing to me. For always you will have the poor. Wherever you wish, you can do something good for them, but you will not always have me. Deuteronomy 15:11. And she has done what she could, and she has anointed my body beforehand, before the burial. Now I assure you, and most solemnly swear to you, wherever the good news, the gospel, is preached, regarding salvation is proclaimed throughout the world, what she has done will be told in her memory. I will go back and read this in Greek, but I want to fill in the blanks right now. that anointment oil that she did, that was for her burial. That was for her burial. She had saved up all this money and this very costly anointing oil for her burial. Now it said also in another place that she washed his feet with her tears and she dried him with the hair of her head. Now these are all what we might call customs, manners and customs of the Bible. The ointment was for her burial. And hair that she dried him with, probably when she combed her hair, she took it out, hair out, and put it in a bowl, what they called a hair bowl. And she would take that and weave it, and they would weave this a cloth into a little mat, and sometimes they would place this over the face of the woman whose hair it was. And they would take, she would catch, at every wedding and every funeral, she would catch her tears in a tear bottle. And she would take that tear bottle, and the tear bottle was supposed to be buried with her, representing all the joys and all the sorrows she had in life, and all of this was buried with her for her burial. But now she threw everything that's sacred to her, everything of every emotional memento in her life, and she poured it at Jesus' feet. Because she loved him. Because he loved her first. One of them was a prostitute. We don't know much whether this was Mary, the girl he grew up with. The other Mary was Mary Magdalene. We know that she was one of these people. The two women did this. Maybe one of them saw the other, and the other said, you know what? I owe him everything. Here we go again. And both of them did it before his crucifixion and his burial. Now let's go and read this from the original language now. Kai ontos autu en Bethania en te oikia Simonas tu lepru kara ke menu auto elthane gene uxe ekuse, that is alabastron. We got a word alabaster right out of that word. And mudru nardu Piscetes, Polycalus, Sena trips asa, Tain, Alabastron, Catecane, Autu tes Cathales. And being him, that word being there, that is a, that is a participle. It's genitive singular participle. And that it's from Amy, to be, and being, him being, present participle, active voice, genitive singular masculine, and him, of him, genitive singular masculine, the third person pronoun agrees with that participle there. Genitive singular masculine, third person pronoun, in Bethany. In Bethany. In the house of Simon, the leper, the former leper. That word leper there means to have a scale, a shell, a crust, a corruptible, it comes from lepus, And then kata came on him. And laying down, actually laying up, what they did now is they had a small, like a coffee table, but even shorter. And they had a bunch of mattresses and pillows laid around this table. And people didn't sit at a table at that thing, they laid up to a table. And so they're laying up to the table. And this woman, now when she washed his feet, which it doesn't say in here, but she did. She washed his feet with her tear bottle, with her tears, and her tears from her eyes also at the same time. And dried him with a hair cloth that she had made out of her hair and with her own hair. And she took her burial anointment and poured it on his head. And she laid at his feet and kissed his feet. He's laying up at the table and his feet are out here and she's walking around behind him. And she walked up and she walked between him and somebody else and poured the ointment on his head and anointed him. him being in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, laying up for himself, she came, a woman, a Guinea, having, the word Guinea there, that's where we get the word gynecologist, Guinea. And if you pronounce Greek wrong, it's Guni, but that's not right. That's Greek. That's German for Greek. German pronunciation of Greek, not the Greek. Gyne. Having, nominative singular feminine, present participle active, an alabasteron. It's a vase used to hold perfume. It's a type of marble, and it's carved out, and it's very, very delicate. A delicate alabaster jar of ointment, aromatic juice from trees, and then of nard, maru, and nard, an aromatic plant, an oil of spikenard. It's a perfume. It's a strong smelling perfume. Today, I cooked a ham, and I put a very strong smelling spice in it, which is cloves. Cloves. You can smell it throughout the house. You put these cloves in there, and you can taste it. You don't leave them in there, but you pull them out when you get through, and it leaves this aromatic and wonderful taste in that ham. And so this is that's what it is. It's a spice that's very strong smelling. And pistikes means pure, undiluted, genuine. And then we have a word politelus. That means very expensive and costly. Now that was not in the oldest manuscripts. That was an explanation later. So now we said a pure arnett, and then we have the word having broken. And this word having broken here is seen at tripsasa, and that's nominative singular feminine, first aorist participle. She broke this jar, having broke this jar, the alabaster jar. Now the jar is worth a lot of money too. Crystal and things like that is worth a lot of money. And the Jewish people, they'll take these crystal glasses, and at the wedding they'll stomp them or they'll throw them at a fireplace and break that very expensive glass. Well, she broke this very expensive glass, this type of alabaster jar, and she poured down kata ekain, third person singular first aorist indicative active from kata and ko. She poured down it upon the head of him. She poured it down or over the head of him. Now verse number 4, Eson de tines agana tu tes pros iautos st me or he apolea haute, that is tu meru genogen. And they're kept on being there. Third person plural and perfect indicative active. That word ason, that comes from Amy. That's a what we call a linking verb or to be verb. Weak adversive conjunctive particle may there, day, and then some, tine, some, and these are nominatives plural masculine, present participle active, being angry, being indignant. And they kept on being indignant. This is Judas. Pros, that's a preposition, page 346. Toward themselves. And then we have the word ast. Why? Why the waste? Apole. Why the destruction? Why is this destruction of the ointment? It has happened. It has become the destruction, the waste of the ointment. It has become third person singular, second perfect, indicative active from Genomai. Why is this waste of the costly material here? Why did it happen? It's a waste. And now in verse 14 and verse 5, Edinato, gar, tuto, tuo, miron, prothene, epano, denarion tria kusion kai dothine tois tokois kai ena brimonton aute. It kept on being, they kept on being able to, the ointment, the miron, to be sold. To be sold. The prothene, profit, comes in that word, profit. Sold at a profit. First aorist, infinitive passive voice, to be sold. Over and above, apano, over and above. And then it has the word denarion and over 300 denarii. Now that was added later on in some of the later manuscripts. It goes back to old manuscripts, but not to the oldest manuscript. It could have been sold and to be given. What it should say, it could be sold for a lot of money, and it could be given to the poor. To be given there is first aorist, infinitive passive voice. And to the poor, the patokois. What is a patokoi? You remember? Patokoi. That's the bottom of the ladder of poor. The patokoi, that woman, that widow, was a patokoi. She was absolutely not able to work and make her living. A patokoi is a beggar that is laid in the street by somebody else. They can't even carry themselves there. Somebody has to carry them. That's the lowest form of being a beggar. Poverty. Patokois. To the poor ones, to the beggars. And they kept on being indignant, snorting. Ene brimonto. It means third person plural, imperfect, indicative, middle voice. They kept on snorting. You know what a horse does when a horse gets scared? He snorts. A dog barks. This guy was acting like an animal, and we know who the guy was. It's Judas Iscariot. He snorted like a hog snorts, like a horse snorts. 14 and verse 6 now, 14 verse 6. He kept on snorting at her. Ho de Jesus, a pan athete, autain, ti aute, kopus, parete, colon, ergon, ergasato, and emoid. Moreover, weak adversive conjunctive particle, page 85. Moreover, the Jesus. Now, this Jesus here, ho, Jesus, that's nominative, singular, masculine, so he is the subject. He's the one talking here now. And the Jesus, he said, third person singular, second aorist indicative, active. He said, you leave. Second person plural, second aorist imperative, active. You leave her. You leave her. Stop now. You do it. Stop now. Why? To her. Why that little interrogative? Why to her? Kopos. That word kopos means to beat, to hit, to chop. Why are you beating her down? Why are you beating? Why are you vexing her? Why are you troubling? Why do you keep on thrashing her and beating her down? You leave her alone. And then the second person plural present indicative active. It means to leave her alone, to walk off and leave her beside, walk by her. Walk by her and leave her alone. Good work. Kolon, good, that comes from kolos, good work. Product of employment, a good work. She has worked. Ergazomai, that's what that word comes from, that third person singular, first aorist, indicative, middle one. She has done because of the very soul and love in her heart. That's all in that word right there. She has done and worked this good work, this show of love in me. 14 verse 7. Pan tote, gar tus, tokos, eke meth, hiauton kai hoton, delete, deneste, autois, pan tote, you, poiese, eme de u, pan tote. For always, that little conjunction there, that casual particle in the conjunction right there, gar, where it starts, for always, always, the one's poor. You'll always have people, we have people in restaurants, that's what this is like today. This is people in assisted living right here. They can't take care of themselves. For the poor, the beggarly, the paupers, the invalids, you will always have. You'll always have with you yourselves. And then we have the word kai. Kai is a conjunction usually. And here it's kind of like a conjunction, but a adversative conjunction, but. It's not and so much, but. But whenever ye may wish, second person plural, present, subjunctive, active, ye may wish, that comes from thelo. The word thelo, that means a spiritual activating force, something that comes from you. Something you wish, something you think about. Whenever you wish, ye are able, ye are caused to be able, to them always good. You can do good to them, if you want to do. But me, we converse in conjunctive particle, moreover me, not always, pantote, ye have. Second person plural, present, indicative, active. That comes from echo. The last verse now in this message. Ho esken, epoiesin, pro elaben, miriase, to, soma, mu, ace ton, enta, fiasmon. Mary of Bethany at least showed her sympathy, and she understood that Jesus was going to die. They didn't. She understood something they didn't. She anticipated the event. What, little interrogative, what she had, third person singular, second aorist, indicative, active, what she had, she did. Third person singular, first aorist, indicative, active. What she did, she worked beforehand. Para elabon, before receiving, before he died, she did it. Before it was too late. A lot of times Marilyn, her sister was dying and she wanted her to have flowers. So she went down and bought her sister flowers. She said, I don't want to take them to her funeral. I want to give them to where she can see them and smell them. Beforehand, she wanted to do this for him. To anoint, miriase, that's first aorist infinitive active, the body of me. Unto the burial, unto the entombment. She's doing this before I'm entombed. Looking forward to the burial of me. She knew more about Jesus' predicament than they did. You know, Judas Iscariot, all he could see was a dollar sign. That's all he saw. That's all he saw when he sold the Lord out for 30 pieces of silver. That's all he saw, a dollar sign. And then after he saw what he did, he was sorry about it. He went out and hung himself. But it's too late. He killed. He didn't understand who Jesus was. He didn't understand. He never knew. He never received salvation, even though he was right there in the midst of all of the miracles. And he could even perform them, but he just didn't understand what was going on. He was so material-minded that he had no spiritual insight at all. But Mary did. Mary of Bethany knew what was about to happen to Jesus, and she wanted to prepare him for it, and she wanted to show him that she loved him beforehand. She loved him beforehand. we all ought to love the Lord. Now, we all look back now to the sacrifice that he made so many hundreds of years ago, but it's still valid today for us. That sacrifice is valid for us. The resurrection is valid for us. He died for our sin, was raised for our justification. We don't want justice, people. We want mercy. We want mercy. Don't give me justice, give me mercy. Our Father, we send this message out for your honor and glory. Please use it wherever it goes. Touch people's hearts wherever they are in the world. Give them the news of salvation by the God of the universe. You bought it through your Son. You suffered it with him. He gave his life for us, and you raised him from the dead. Thank you. As we remember this year, this day, please forgive me where I failed you. In Jesus' name I pray.